What up? What up? It's your boy H2O, your potential conditioner, and welcome back to another episode of the New Balance podcast. So good to be with you on today, and I got to shout out real quick all of the fam, all of the followers. We call each other the tribe. Thank God for the tribe. This podcast doesn't exist without you, so so humbled by you. Appreciate the love and support, especially this week. Um, you all know we've been closing out the graduation celebration of the mini me. So thank all of you for your prayers, your love, and then those of you who sent gifts and just helped her ride high this week. I just really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, and we just want to say thank you. But with that said, we do have a special one in the building, New Balance Podcast. Show some love to my sister, Destiny Barnes. What up, Destiny?
What's up? How's it going?
Oh man, it's good, Destiny. It's so good. It's even
Glad to
better.
be here.
Not yeah, it's better that we got you on. You and I've been talking about this for a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
now that things have slowed down for me, um, we can finally get together and share some great things with a great group of people who follow and rock with this podcast. We've just
Definitely.
started. We just started a new series entitled "Living Inside of What's Inside of You," and I'm pretty much probably going to say this about every guest that'll be a part of this journey. Man, you are the epitome of that. And
Mm-hmm.
when I met you um, a little while back, your whole personality, your whole presentation, that was just oozing out and from you. And so I remember that day getting in the car with my kids who was serving with me that day. I told them, I said, man, we got to get her on the pod. And they was like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she'll be good to get on the pod. She'll be good to get on the pod. So I got to give them a little credit whenever they pick one, they usually right. So I can't take all the credit, Destiny. So
Yeah.
yeah, they called it as well. So Destiny,
uh,
man, yeah, tell us what's been going on. Tell us how you been, and tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into this living inside of what's living inside of you.
yeah, so I've just been doing my daily work. Things have been pretty good. Just been working, trying to decide on what I want to write about next and my next project. So
Absolutely.
things have been good. I'm Destiny Barnes. As you said, I'm an author. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, but I was raised in Houston also because my mom lived here. And yeah, I've been writing since 2013, and I released my first book in 2014, G'd Up from the Feet Up. And
Mm,
I've released four already, with my latest one being my first fiction book, 25 Lighters.
yes, absolutely. Incredible. We both have that in common, being authors. And so
Yes,
later on, we'll let you know where we can find all of these awesome projects. So it's one thing to talk about it, but I'm definitely about it. We believe in supporting. And so my fam, I'm gonna ask you to go out and support, for me, I don't know. I thought we had the other one, but that's no problem. I know how to click it and get it, right? I know how to click it and get it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so just one thing just that jumped off the pages for me. My daughter was with me that day, and I've helped her start her own business in photography. She's
Mhm.
also going to be doing some public speaking. She's going to be doing a couple of things. So it was really good for me for her to see you functioning. Um, and in that particular space, to be honest, it takes some courage. It takes some self will. It also takes a great belief in yourself and what you have to step out, be
Yeah,
in that environment, and have confidence to push your thing. And so
definitely.
I thought it was for her a great opportunity to see the possibilities, what it looks like. As a father, one of the things when you have daughters, your first thing is like, man, I got to protect my girl. I want to protect my girl. So just letting her see how to move and teaching her those things. But there are some things that she's going to learn on the cuff. There are some things she's going to learn in the moment. And so whenever you can get it or have examples, it makes it the process so easy. So I said all that to say that you were just a blessing in that way too, for her. And so I know moms that are watching this, even fathers, if you have daughters, I want you to sit down with them and watch this episode. And I want you to listen to some of the things that this young lady has to say, some of the things that she's already experienced in life. Um, when you talk about being an author, I know the challenges to write what's on the inside of you, whether it be confident, people gonna read it. The whole thing of, especially if you're a self-publisher, right? If you're self-publishing, the hurdles and the challenges, and I also understand, it doesn't. You can't just do this for free. It's a financial burden that comes along with it, and so for you, with that youth on your side like that, for you to be 4 in already, and and have done some other things, which we'll get into a little later in the podcast. To me, that's living inside of what's in living inside of you. And our sole purpose in taking this journey is to help people identify, help people to see, and not only just to identify and see, but have the courage to push yourself, right? To go ahead and embrace it and then dive into it. I think all 13 of these interviews that we're going to end up doing, you'll begin to see the commonality in all of you guys, but even though it's a manifestation in different ways. So I think probably where we'll jump in, Destiny, is I want to read, like I do have a scripture, a verse that kind of sets up to help people to identify. And it's in 2 Corinthians 4:7. The eighth portion of the verse says, but we have this treasure in earthen vessels. So part of you living inside of what's living inside of you is that treasure that God himself put inside. Now, I do believe a treasure, even though it can be singular, it can have multiple uses, right? And I see that with you, right? And so if you could kind of talk about and maybe expound just on that when you think about that, but we have this treasure in the earthen vessels. What comes to mind? How does that scripture, how does it impact you in terms of where you are in life, or where you started in life?
So I actually read, kind of looked up the verse and read through the whole verse, and it says that the treasure sits within a clay, I think it's a clay glass jar, which it says is basically easily accessible, and I feel like that's how God designed it for it to be. I feel like we were all put here to do, to have a purpose and fulfill that purpose. And that's why we were chosen and put here on this earth. While we wake up every day, we're here for a reason. And to find that reason, you just kind of got to dig deep a little bit, but it's not hard to get to what that is and what your treasure is. And once you find that one thing, that can lead to so many different other avenues.
Absolutely.
When I started writing when I was in school, I was studying pre-med and I was working in the ER, and I hated it. And once I found writing, I kind of found that I was just sitting in class, kind of journaling, just writing down my thoughts. And that's basically how I got into writing. And that writing led to me interning for Q Guidance. I think we're the studio, the media block.
Absolutely.
And doing film. So we actually created a film, and that's when I kind of got my direction for things that I wanted to do. I also do film, video editing. I did that for a number of years, just doing video editing. And that all started with just writing. And I feel like that's how one treasure can start and open doors for many other treasures. And that's, to me, that just leads to multiple blessings. That's different streams of income.
Yes,
you're networking and meeting different people in different arenas, and it just brings about more blessings.
Absolutely. I love every single thing that you said. Um, from having a focus, working in the ER doing pre med, through, is it safe for me to say maybe a hobby? Journaling was a hobby.
Correct.
Through a
Definitely.
hobby, it was a hobby, but there's nothing like helping you find the treasure when you have irritation in life. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to look at irritation differently, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let me I'm laughing because I know what I'm about to say. Some parents are gonna mess with me. So if I don't want to use the example of children because that's not a good example.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say you're working a particular job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the irritation of being, I, I, I can say, out of place, um, being the irritation of being out of season,
Mm-hmm.
the irritation of frustration, the irritation of fear. That's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
The irritation of fear. Fear can bring about an irritation. You have everything that you need, but you're so afraid to step out and do it, and it
Mm.
causes an irritation, right?
Definitely.
But look what happens when you don't ignore the irritation. You find another avenue or another outlet to express, and that's what happened through your journaling and writing.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunity was presented to you for you to be able to do an internship, right? So we definitely want to shout out Media Block on here. We love those guys over there. And, from those small beginnings, look where you've achieved and look where you are now in life. And the things that you're going to do is so bright. Like whatever door you want to go through, you can just pick it and go through it because you dared to investigate and you dare to use the irritation to work on your behalf. So I would say, and I can't remember the story, but you can help me here. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to speak to this. So obviously, to become an author, you have to step out and just literally believe, right? Whether you're writing it or you're going to get, are you ghostwriting or are you going to have somebody do something for you? If you need the project edited, all of these different things it takes to get the book done. But this is my key. This is what I want to get to. Did you have a model? Did you have a model of an author in your family, or were you the first, or the first that you know of? Like I can't remember specifically, but it seemed like you told me, was it your dad or somebody had written a book, or were you the first one? I get my stories mixed up. Help me out here, Destiny.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm the first one in my family to write a book, but I've always been a big reader, and that came from my dad. My dad has always loved reading. He's a pastor, so he just loves reading and learning new knowledge. So I kind of got that from him, and I would read like his spiritual books and other books he would have. And
Right.
yeah, my love for reading it was kind of weird that I liked reading so much, but I never thought of myself as like being a writer
Perfect.
at all. I kind of always had my eyes set on pre med when I was
Hmm.
in high school and going into college. I never saw myself as a writer, but that's how life happens sometimes, and
Absolutely.
how things are just presented.
Right. And then you have to chase it. You have to embrace it and chase it. And so,
Definitely.
okay, right. So it was your father. He was into reading. I knew that your
Mm-hmm.
dad was. I
Yes,
knew that your dad was a pastor. So it was his love for reading. So you picked up a habit that he had. Right. Once again, I wanna make this plain as possible. So those that are listening and watching, you can take these notes or you can compare it to your life. You're like, there it is. Oh man, I've been
sir.
overlooking it, or maybe I hadn't been pressing in deep enough. So it was that love. Watch this, it's in pieces. So that love of reading, like your father, and then you have this journaling, right, that you started
Mm-hmm.
doing now. So here are these different pieces. And then the most important piece is now you got to step out and activate it. So the first question probably I want to go with is, how did you choose the life or passion you live in now? right? So it's going to speak to that. How did you choose it? And you basically told us, but give us a little more meat on the bone in terms of if you're talking to a room full of um, curious people who have a desire maybe to write or to be an author or maybe to be in film or maybe to be a videographer, be in video editing, what would you say to them in terms of choosing the life that you have now or the passion that you have?
Yeah, so definitely, I like to. I think I've said this before too when talking about this. I like to say that I felt like it chose me. I feel like writing
Mm,
chose me. It found me at a time where I was just at a low point in my life, and it helped me get through that point. And
mm,
so it chose me. And I feel like once something chooses you, it's just up to you to just go after it. And there's so many different things that you can learn now for free.
yes,
You can almost do just about anything, and you can go online and just Google it. And
yes,
there's going to be a ton of information of how to do it. And that's exactly what I did with even releasing my first book and self publishing it. I didn't know anything about publishing,
right,
writing, any of
absolutely,
that. I wasn't an English major or
right.
anything. This is just things I just kind of developed on my own and learned for myself. And in this generation, it's so easy now more than ever to do that.
Yes, absolutely. Ooh, man, that's what I love. Like, I hope you're listening. I hope you, if like I said, I always encourage you if you watch this or listening to it, I want you to go back because there'll be some things like, oh man, I didn't hear that. She said, first of all, it found her, right? And it didn't find her while she was high on the mountain and life was going marvelous and everything, all the pieces fall in place. It found her in a low place, right? Or in tough seasons. But it's something about having your back against the wall. We talked about that on the first episode with my
Mm,
first guest. When your back is up against the wall, I think of it this way: you can definitely find out what you're made of, or you can find out what's on the inside of you. Because if you have any fight in you, that fight will cause you to rise to places. It'll cause you to do things. And like you said, it'll cause you to see things from a different
mm,
perspective, right? And I believe we're living in a time now where a lot of people, their backs up are against the wall, right? So much change has happened. So much change is continuing to happen. And people are trying to figure out how, and this one, what their why is. Um,
mhm.
why is so important with whatever you do
Yeah.
or are doing in life. And so that's the one message I've been driving home to my kids, their whole life is what is your why? Don't forget your why. Don't let people change your why. And so just hearing you say that you found out what your why was. So that's a great answer. And when I say passion, I know sometimes people think like passion looks different. So everyone that knows me, they would consider me a very passionate person about whatever I'm doing. When I speak,
Mhm.
I'm very, very passionate. Whatever the work I'm doing, I'm very passionate about it. Whatever I put myself into, it's just that passion is you're going to see it, you're going to feel it. That's just how
Mm,
I'm created. But then you can have a person that's just as passionate as I am, but it doesn't come across the same way. And so if you're
mm,
not careful, you'll say, well, I do care about things, but I'm not passionate about it. Your passion, it doesn't have to look like somebody that's very lively, or sometimes it get called loud or
yeah.
animated, all of those different terms. You can be just as passionate as the next person, but it manifests differently. So in other words, um, okay, I'm a life coach, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm a minister of the gospel, right? And like I said,
Mhm.
that's very passionate when I do that. But you can find a lady, all she does is bake cookies, and she has the most beautiful cookies, cakes. And we have a young lady that we're friends with. She did some work for us. She's like, her work is just phenomenal. But just
Mhm.
knowing her, she's a very quiet person, right?
Yeah.
She does talk, but she's very quiet to
Mhm.
herself. But her work, when you see her work, you can see her passion in her work. Now,
Hmm.
it doesn't look like what I do, but she's just as passionate. So we want to redefine what this word looks like, and how it moves for different people. And
Hmm.
so when we saw you that particular day, like you wasn't advertising it or anything, but we saw your passion on your table. We saw your passion in your presentation. And so I was showing my kids, like, see, passion, it has different looks. It comes in
Hmm.
different sizes. It comes in different flavors. And so I'm one definitely example of passion, but here are others, right? And so I think
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
important. I think that's important. Was it a temptation to be like other authors that you possibly knew, or was it a temptation to maybe say, and I know this could people call it a bad word, but I don't think it's a bad word. Was it a temptation to maybe copycat somebody else until you figured out what writing looks like for you? Talk about that a little bit. When you use someone else's blueprint, someone else's formula to help you jumpstart what you do.
Hmm. Yeah, so I would say on my first book, it was more like an experiment. I was just doing something that I just wanted to do. I think after my second book is when I started to take writing more seriously as like doing writing as a career. And
Got it.
I feel like when you're in a arena of whatever it is that you're doing, I like to say you have to look at someone who's done it and who's in a place where you want to be.
Great.
So some of my favorite authors, James Baldwin, Maya Angelou, Tyler Perry, I looked at their stories and how their journey was, and kind of not going the same path as they did, but just taking like little nuggets from things that they did, things that worked for them and things
Right.
that didn't. And for myself, I'm a very introverted person. So
Right.
being like socially out there and on social media is not a me thing. And
Right.
I've had to kind of grow into it, but still be able to be my authentic self.
Absolutely.
Um, because I don't want to ever have to put myself in an uncomfortable situation with just something that I'm not comfortable with doing. But I think you definitely, whatever arena you're in, you definitely have to study the greats, and not even the greats, just great writers. There's great writers, just everyday people that live in here in Houston
That's it.
or anywhere. And I think there's nothing wrong with kind of reading what their style is, learning what their style is, and kind of taking little things that they do, and especially if
Right.
it's working for them. I think that's something that everyone should do with whatever area you're in. I think that's how you become a expert.
Absolutely. Look, I'm on with a great writer, right? And you right here in the city, right? And so, yeah, but that's how we learn. Like two totally different flavors. But when you look at the foundation of what we do, there are similarities, right? Right. And so, like you said, if you're wise, that's how you can learn. Um, my oh man, I have some writers, but my three of my top writers that I read so much of this stuff, and I try to imitate different. I think I'm a hybrid of the three of them. Obviously, the first one is Bishop T. Jakes. Man, everything that he writes, man, it's mind blowing. He's like just
Yeah.
on another level in terms of his connection with humanity and having the expression of God in the earth. It's phenomenal. Tony Evans, I love his writing. Um, it's just so foundationally for life. It's incredible his perspective that God has given him. And then I see myself not necessarily like him, but I feel like we have the same heart, and that's Tony Dungy. Um,
Mhm.
I'm a big proponent of men, and all of these men that I name, they have a men centered focus in life. And when I
Mhm.
write, not that I'm trying to be them, but I feel like I'm a hybrid of those men. Now, watch this. Like you, I never thought about being an author or writing or anything. I hate writing in school. I hate writing right now.
Mhm.
But after writing the first book, I know that I'm gonna spend the rest of my life writing.
Hmm.
I know that I'm gonna be an author, and not only that, I'm gonna help other people be able to figure out how to be authors or become authors, right? Through whatever means or whatever lane they want to do it through. And when we talk about that, um, what is it about your passion that wakes you up? And what is it about your passion that drives you in life, right? I feel like even when you can find out that thing, it doesn't matter if somebody wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning. When you
Hmm.
found your passion, it doesn't matter. You can wake up and do it. Like this, I can get up straight out the bed, 2:30 in the morning. I can jump on and do a podcast. I don't need to read a book. I don't need to talk to anybody. It's like that's just part of the makeup of what God has given me to do. If you want me to encourage someone, talk with someone, counsel someone, like I can get up and I can do those. And I wouldn't be irritated about it. It's just part of who I am. Now, don't get
Hmm.
up and ask me to make no egg sandwiches. It's gonna be some issue. It's just I'm not. Even though I like to cook, but don't do that. So,
Hmm.
um, what about it? Tell me how it moves you. Tell me how being an author, being I call it being in media. The
Hmm.
media is so vast. You can even talk about your career, what you do, your 9 to 5, all of those things. How does getting up? What is it about those things that drive you, push you? What is it about them that gets you going in life?
Yeah, so I would say I'm a big fan of Nipsey Hussle, and
Okay.
he has a term called the marathon. That's kind of his brand, and
Okay.
I think that's what life is a marathon.
Okay.
It's a journey that you're on, and at the end of the marathon, when you're running towards I wouldn't look at it as like an end of the race, but you're
Right.
getting to something to the end of that race, which is when the race stops. That's the prize
Hmm.
that you get just for finishing it. And there's no rush. There's no certain time that you have to be there. People are just out there just running it. Some people walk, some people run. It doesn't matter, just as long as you get to that place.
Right.
And I think writing for me is that prize at the end. If I can continue to stick with it, I know the things that I desire and the things that I want, uh, will lead me there to that prize.
Right.
And a lot of times when you're on the marathon or the journey of life, there's a lot of different factors that can play in. You might have to take a couple detours, or
Right.
it's life. Things happen, and I think one of the main things is probably working or having a job. And I like to tell people to kind of look at it as a sense of like my 9 to 5. I feel like it it's a building block in me building my
Got
writing
it.
career. It's helping me fund that. But I already have in the back of my mind that writing is going to be my full time work one day.
Got it.
Even though it may not be that right now, this job is helping me provide and be able to build that. And
Right.
there's nothing wrong with working a job at all. But the thing is, you definitely have to find something that you love and something that you care to do about.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're just gonna be an empty shell, just working somewhere where you're not really enjoying it. I feel like a lot of Americans are like that. That's kind of the society we live in.
Right.
Um, so I think on the marathon, just knowing that at the end of this prize, this thing that I'm going towards,
Hmm.
I know that that's there. And when I wake up in the morning, that's my mindset. And it's definitely a journey and it's kind of a routine that you have to continuously create for yourself. Because there
Hmm.
are times where you wake up uninspired or not feeling it.
Absolutely.
That's all the time.
Hmm.
But just knowing that that's the end place where you want to be. And I think something that kind of worked for me that I started doing about 6 years ago is actually writing down everything that I want out of life, what my
Okay.
goals are, And I write that every day. It's just a reminder, and it kind of sets the tone for the day. How I'm going to go about doing certain things, what I need to
Right.
do to get done, to get to
Yeah.
those goals that I wrote out, and it kind of just sets the direction for the day and sets the tone. And
Mm,
but I think just having that in your head of what that prize is that you're going towards,
right.
that alone can drive you and get you up in the morning. I feel
Incredible.
like that's my number one drive.
Oh man, incredible. Wow. I'm glad you shared that. A couple things come to mind. I don't know a lot about Nipsey Hussle in
Mm-hmm.
terms of, the marathon, but I hear a lot of people use that phrase. And so just
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, what I know about a marathon, obviously, like you said, it's not about trying to win the race. Majority of the people who are running it, they want to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like I want to compete it. Now, I'm pretty sure there are people that want to have a certain finish or have a certain time, running in a certain
Mm-hmm.
time. But when you were saying that, the thing that came to mind for me is number one, I want to complete this marathon.
Mm-hmm.
But I also thought about when you run a marathon, at least the ones that I've seen from television, watching, you have um, fans on both sides of the race
Mm-hmm.
in different places. And
Yeah.
so they are out there because they are fans of the marathon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you have to know and understand there are some people that are out there, they are cheering for a particular runner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there are other people who are cheering for the sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you run a marathon, you cannot focus on the people that are on the side
Yeah.
because if you follow a marathon, the scenery is constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
So at one part of the race, you have a certain fan base. And another part of the race, you have a different fan base. And obviously, at the end or towards the end, you have a totally different fan base. My point is this: all of us, you are absolutely right. All of us should be in some type of marathon. We should be running. We should be running.
Mm-hmm.
There should be something before us that's motivating us to get to the end of whatever the thing is. But I think what happens oftentimes is we get caught up in the people that are either fans or they're on the side cheering, whatever the case may be. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it in the marathon, there are they're like checkpoints. And at those
Mm-hmm.
checkpoints,
Yep.
they you can get maybe some water,
Some
Gatorade or
water,
whatever, water and
snacks.
snacks, right? So when you say that, there are some people, I believe there are three different people. There's one person like you who say, you know what? I don't care what the weather is. I don't care how hot, how cold, whatever. I don't care what the conditions are. I'm gonna run the marathon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there are people who they have a desire to run the marathon, but because of maybe not having the right conditioning, or maybe they've never ran in the mountains, or because they never even ran in this state, they are afraid to begin the marathon. And then you have a whole nother group who all they do is just talk about the marathon.
Mm-hmm.
The person
Yep.
that wants to run, they do have some shoes. They do
Mm-hmm.
have the little shorts or whatever. And, at one point they might have ran track in high school or whatever the case may be. So you have
Mm-hmm.
those doers, then you have those that are thinking about it, then you have those that are just talking. So I think when we're talking about living, right, living inside of what's on the inside of you, it speaks to that like so strongly. So I appreciate you sharing that. It's always incredible to hear the thought process of people who are doing different things. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna throw a curveball here because
Okay.
well, that's not a curve. You know it's coming because I asked you about it, but I wanted to do it on the podcast, and it's so intriguing to me. So I want you to
Mm-hmm.
expound on it. So we follow each other on IG, and on there, your IG name is Gangsta Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Like, Let's talk about that. Talk to me about that. Share with the viewers, like, what's the whole thing with gangster bars? Because I'm just, just when I look at you, there's nothing about you that looks gangster to me. But with saying that, there we go with, but there's those are stereotypes, right?
Mhm.
Right. So kind of expound on that and talk to us about how did you come up with that? Like, what's the meaning of it? Because when we first connected, um, I can't remember if I forget how it happened, but when I saw it, I was like, Gangsta Barnes, that's like so it's unique. But then I'm like, it doesn't match her. She's this little sweetheart. She's the sweetest person, you would, and then the name. So talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So I get that all the time. Everyone says that. But when I wrote my first book, which is called G'd Up from the Feet Up,
Right.
I basically based each chapter off of the word gangster, in which I
Mm,
made it an acronym. So gangster basically stands for great, auspicious, nifty, gorgeous, tenacious, excellent, and royal. And that was my basis for the whole book. So each chapter is named after each letter in the word gangster. And I kind of use it more as like a persona. I feel like
yes,
at that time, I had to toughen up and be a G about what I was going through and
absolutely.
pull myself together and get my way out of it. And that's how I came up with the name of the book, G'd Up from the Feet Up. I think I was listening to Biggie Smalls then, and
Uh-oh.
that kind of
Uh-oh.
gave me the idea.
Yes. Okay. All right. I love it. I love it. So in that case, I'm a gangster then, right? So like those initials of fire, that's fire. And I'm so glad you shared that because it's like, man, there is no one cookie cutter way for you to come out. Is no one cookie cutter way for you to encourage yourself. Is no one cookie cutter way for you to have to fight when we talked about earlier, when life
Mm-hmm.
presses you, your back up against the wall. And you was like, man, I need to be about my business. So all right, I'm gonna get G'd up. That's a great way. So think about whether people take that in the wrong way or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they think. It's in the intent. It's in the heart and the intent of the one that created, which is you. And I think that's so phenomenal, man. And I'm gonna tell you, especially our young ladies, our daughters, yeah, you're gonna have to be gangster in life if you're gonna succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you,
Definitely.
nobody's opening doors for you. Nobody's
Definitely.
rolling out the red carpet. Roll your own red carpet, kick
Mm-hmm.
down your doors, right? You
Mm-hmm.
understand? And go make it happen. And that is so gangster. I don't know what other way to tell it. I mean, me
Mm-hmm.
starting a podcast, that's gangster for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Me being an author, that's gangster for me. Man, let me tell you why. Like I share my story because I want to help people. Man,
Mm-hmm.
I'm diagnosed with ADHD, diagnosed dyslexia, right?
Mm-hmm.
I stutter, I stammer when I talk. So by definition, what in the world am I doing on the podcast? By definition, how could I even dare be a minister of the gospel? How do I dare be a motivational coach, a life coach, all of these different things, right? But
Mm-hmm.
like the world wrote those rules. God says, no, I have written the rules. It goes back. There's a treasure in this earthen vessel. So when I began to unlock the treasure, I realized, oh, God gave me in this treasure, He gave me something for the ADHD. In this treasure, He gave me something for dyslexia. In this treasure, He gave me something for the stammering and stuttering and tongue. He gave me something in the treasure to overcome everything that would come against me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important for you to unlock it. Live inside of what's inside of you. What's inside of you? It's a treasure. Now, it's up to you to find out what that treasure is. God tells
Definitely.
us, yeah, He tells us explicitly, if any man lacks knowledge, He said, ask. I
Mm-hmm.
promise you, I promise you, whenever there was a party growing up, I mean, Mama, can I go to the party? And almost I would say 80% of the time, she's like, all right. Sometimes she might pull up a little fuss and you wasn't
Mm-hmm.
too good this week. You don't deserve to go to a party. But okay, I'm gonna let you go. It's simply because I asked her. I asked.
Hmm.
And like life is that way. Now, I
Yeah.
do understand some things in life you can't ask life. You can't wait and ask, well, life, I want a better life. You can't ask life for that. You have to take it. You got to become gangster. I think I might
Yeah.
rename this podcast episode. You got to be a G about it. I think I'm just might rename it.
Hmm.
You got me feeling gangster now, Destiny. I love that. Um, and
Definitely.
there are some things that you got to take. The Bible says the kingdom of God suffereth violent, and the violent take it by force. It don't get any
Hmm.
more gangster.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna get off of that. I don't want to get too gangster, if you will, but I know this much. Life, there's definitely a time clock on
Hmm.
life. I don't want you to feel like you just have forever. I don't want you to feel like, I don't even want you to feel like next week. I mean, this is like a daily. I get up in the morning, I got to make the most out of today. I
Definitely.
got to make the most out of right now. Um,
Hmm.
someone you're sitting on here, and man, God's already shown you. I hope these episodes are giving you the courage to step out, reach
Hmm.
out, connect with people, right? And so I had to. It was a step of faith. I didn't know Destiny. Destiny didn't know me, but I believe in what God put in me. I believe in the treasure, and I believe like this is time sensitive what we're doing, these type of things. So I'm like, I don't have anything to lose. And obviously, when I reached out, we talked, and obviously, Destiny perceived something like, well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. And
Hmm.
then not only that, we're gonna do some other stuff together. I want to bring her together with another group of ladies to come bless some other ladies. Like it's gonna be a faith thing to bring it together. But if I have all these ideas and I never move on it, Destiny wouldn't even be on the podcast today. You wouldn't be getting this great information. And then you wouldn't know what gangster meant, right? So it's all it's all working out, right? It's all working out.
Definitely.
Um I just that was powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And I share
No
that about myself because don't let anything handicap you.
problem.
I remember when I started speaking in front of people, I didn't want to do it because I was so afraid of just losing it. I just, you know what I mean? Because when I look at people who public speak, I don't know. I'm drawn to it. I'm attracted to it. There are certain people who speak. I love their style, and I love different styles of speaking. Um, but I knew that I should be doing something with it. And for the longest, I didn't do anything. I would do more one on one, right? Where it wasn't public and would nobody see it. And obviously, back in the day, it was no social media. But guys like, nah, homie, I'm not gonna let you hide back here. I'm gonna force you out, and the rest is history. And so I
Hmm.
just want you do not ignore those passions. So I wanted to ask you because I feel like Destiny, your writing and your perspective on writing is not just something that you love to do because you love to do it. I believe there is an end goal. Talk to me. What do you want people to take away from your writing when they read this? And it's not just women or young girls, or it's whomever will pick up this book. What do you want them to walk away with, Destiny?
Yes, I think my writing style is relatable. Um, I'm sure you probably know our skin color aren't they're not really big on reading, and
Absolutely.
I think a big part of that. I remember being big on the Hunger Games and Twilight in high school, but the average person my color they weren't reading books like that. Um,
Absolutely.
they're just written in a different way that's harder to understand. And I believe that you can write in that way, but I like to write in ways that are relatable and
Sure.
that kind of speak more to a person with that has a different struggle.
Hmm.
Um, so I think really just making my writing relatable and something that people can actually really take from. I feel like most of my books are catered towards young adults. I
Yes,
think your 20s are just they're very trying years,
they are.
and I feel like we're kind of forced and pushed into certain things. You know, you go to school all these years, these 12 years, and then you're told, you know, go to college so you can go to college and you find you a good job that pays well. But I don't believe that's everyone's path. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like we put enough emphasis on someone finding things that they actually like to do. And in our day and age, you can do just about anything and
Right.
make money from it, which is, I
Absolutely.
think that's the goal. You know, you have to have financial stability, and I think if that's one thing that I want to someone to take from my books is that you can have whatever it is that you want to do. You can make it work for you and be financially stable with it. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a set path of going to college and getting a job.
Absolutely.
There's so many different things that you can do, but I think that it's the one thing that's just told to a lot of kids nowadays, and
Right.
you know that's the path that a lot of individuals take, and a lot of them. I mean, I could probably name a handful of people that have degrees and they don't even work in the field that they got their degree in.
Absolutely.
And I think that story happens over and over again.
Right.
So my end goal is to just always make it relatable. Always make it to where it's something that someone can learn from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now more than ever, I just have a passion of telling Black stories.
Absolutely.
Now that I'm getting more into writing fiction books, that's the kind of stories that I want to tell.
Yes.
And you know, because I feel like it's relatable. And when a young Black girl can see a older Black author, I feel like that's inspiring. I didn't have that growing up. I didn't know
Absolutely.
any Black authors.
Right.
Most of the books that I read, and even the authors that I look up today, they're white.
Right.
Um, yeah, I feel like if we just have more of that for kids to see, especially in this day and age where
Right.
kids are more exposed to way much more than they should be exposed to. I feel like that's monumental, and that can really
Mm.
change a lot of mindsets.
Man. Oh wow. That response right there, I have to go straight into this next question because I just hear you on it. So I think you should continue. Like talk about
Mhm,
a couple of things, ways that we can make our families and our communities better. Because like the things that you're sharing, those are a lot of the things that I want to do. And I'm looking for different vehicles to do those things through. Um,
mhm,
and I always preference this on the podcast. Like I want to help whoever wants to get help, right?
yeah.
So it's not even a race thing in terms of that. I want to help people who want to get the help, but
Mhm.
but let me put a but in it. um, I am focused. I am
Mhm,
focused. At the top of that list, I am focused on servicing our communities.
mhm.
When we look at across the board in terms of where you want to look at numbers, where you want to look at demographics, whether you want to look at decades, where you want to look at over time, our communities are coming in last in all of those categories.
Yeah.
And so, like what you're saying, having a different perspective with a different type of a pen, that's
Mhm,
very, very important. And I think I've shared this, I don't know what podcast, how long ago, but because I'm an author, I do believe, I'm like, what if my book was in the elementary school when I was a kid? Now, I'm going to say
mhm,
some titles of some books, and I love these books, but there was not, this book was not in the library.
mhm.
It wasn't in the library. When we grew up, especially as kids,
Mhm,
these three books, every kid they read: Clifford the Big Red Dog, Curious George,
mhm.
Green Eggs and Ham. Three are
Yep.
some of the most popular books, and they are bestsellers even to this day.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote those books, their great 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 grandchildren will be living off the royalties of those books. And
Mhm,
listen, rightfully so, they're great for education and what they tell. But this is the key: they only tell a perspective from a different perspective. Well, I said that wrong. They tell a perspective of a group of people, and that
Mm-hmm.
perspective is not across the board, right? Those books are very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, if you got a little girl over in Third Ward,
Mm-hmm.
and I put this book in front of her and let her read it, and then she reads, Clifford the Big Red Dog in terms of development and helping her see the way she needs to see in life, this book is going to win all day long. It's no put down on Clifford the Big Red Dog. It has its place.
Mm-hmm.
So to all my authors out there, to all my creators out there, to all of you who are looking to make a difference, but make the difference. Think about how you're going to make the difference. It needs to be a particular impact. It's just not, I'm not just writing just because of writing. I have an impact in mind. That's what every book that I write, I have a focus, is a bullseye that I'm trying to hit when I write. So talk to me about, because I know you're passionate about community and family. Talk about some ways, how can we help our families? How
Mm-hmm.
can we help our communities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think one, I think knowledge is key.
Yes.
Um, Knowledge is power, and I think in our communities and our families we lack that knowledge. And I think it's a system that was designed and set up the way it is. It was set up this way for it to be that way. And
Right.
I think the lack of knowledge that we have in these communities and in families. There are top people in the world that benefit financially off of it. So it
Absolutely.
continuously gets put out there. It's our music, the things that are promoted on TV, social media. We're more drawn to the things that hurt our communities and our families the most. And that's why they're so broken up and destroyed.
Right.
And the Willie Lynch letters, which was a letter that was written to slave owners to show them how to control their slaves in America. One of the key things he said was, "You take the mind and you keep the body."
Yep.
And I feel like in our families and our communities, it's just a bunch of bodies walking around and they don't have their mind. Once you find your mind and you
Come
take
on.
that back, that drives everything else. And families start staying together. We cut out all the broken families, communities. We build within our own communities, have our own centers, schools, and that's how we grow and become one
Absolutely.
as a people.
Absolutely.
But I think that's the stepping stone that there. And I think another problem thing, just for anybody in life, is I think just having a connection or a relationship with something bigger and greater than us, God. Having that is just that's the stepping stone in getting through things in life. Just there's always going to be things in life that every single person in this life struggles with, and with having to have finances for every little thing. And you're talking about being in relationships. There's so
Yes.
many outside factors that
Right.
can come and deter us from just having even a clear mindset and a clear thinking and a clear understanding. And I think there's just some things in life. I feel like I was brought up in the church, of course, as my dad is a pastor.
Right.
And I think that's where my faith stems from. But
Yes.
my relationship with God, I feel like came in my 20s when it was just situations that were just seemed impossible to get out of. And then I got out of them. And it was kind of like seeing God's face, God showing himself to me. And that's where my
Absolutely.
relationship and my connection comes from with God. And that alone has helped me in so many ways. It's given me a clear understanding, a direction, and knowing who I am, and knowing that I have somebody there, somebody greater and bigger than every single thing and entity in this life. And that controls every little thing in my life. If I have something that's greater than this bill that's coming in that I got to pay, I have something greater that stands over that. So the
Right.
bill is going to get paid somehow because I
Absolutely.
have a connection and a relationship with that person that controls that.
Wow. Man, so well spoken. I want you touch something. Oh man, I have to ask. So,
Mm-hmm.
I talk about the Willie Lynch letter a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I talk about the spirit of it. So for the listener, maybe someone maybe have heard of it, maybe they haven't. So do you remember the number of years he said that this system can work if they worked it? Do you remember how many years he said?
I don't remember exactly.
This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you a homework assignment. I'm gonna tell you on here, but go back and you look at how many years he said it would work. And when you look at the year that he wrote the letter and you fast forward to where we are,
Mm-hmm.
what he said was exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about, he talked about it working for over 300 to 400 years.
Yeah.
And I want you to think about the spirit of what was released.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was a spirit. It was a spirit. And when you talk about us basically being dead men walking,
Mm-hmm.
a dead man is just that. They have from the shoulders up, it's not functioning, it's not working, it's dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is when you said that you gotta picture that. The genocide that we see, um, the disrespect that we
Mm-hmm.
see, the level of hate that we have for one another, it's mind boggling. But when you
Mm-hmm.
understand the root of it, right? Um, and I don't want to turn this into a Bible study, but when you go back and you even study the first murder, you look at Cain and Abel.
Mm-hmm.
It was an assignment that was given. One
Mm-hmm.
brother completed the assignment. The other brother was lazy and did not do it. And because the brother who did it was going to reap the reward, the other brother got in his feelings about it. And watch this, he killed his brother. He killed him. And so
Mm-hmm.
we see the same thing happening today, especially in our communities. So we have to take a step back and look at it, the big picture of it, right? Obviously, they do a great job plastering it all over TV, plastering it
Mm-hmm.
all over social media. And look, we do a great job rapping, singing about it, clubbing, all these other things, these factors, right? But if you ever want to understand the problem of a thing, you have to look at the root of it. And so when you said that, I was like, yeah, we have to look at that. And the whole the all the things that go along with that, crabs in the bucket. And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
we it's time for us to unlearn and relearn. We it's bigger, it's bigger than you can even imagine. And there are some things that can be killed, but you have to kill them. Watch this, and I'll get off of it because I really feel pressed to really talk about it, but I won't. When you
Mm-hmm.
study when you study David's life, and everybody knows one of David's greatest feats in the Bible was killing Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
Well, David didn't have a weapon. He just had those stones in his rag. But he was so proficient with the stones in the rag, it knocked down what was standing before the armies of God.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't kill Goliath hitting them with the stone. David, in turn, he went and took Goliath's sword and cut Goliath's head off with his own sword. So, what I'm saying to us is we have to take the thing that's been a genocide to us for so many centuries, so many
Mm-hmm.
decades. We have to take that thing and use it against the enemy. And we got to stop using it against each other. So, man,
Mm-hmm.
for you to say that, a young lady, I know that you're tied in and you understand specifically what we're up against with our families and our communities. And so,
Mm-hmm.
New Balance podcast, show some love for my sister Destiny Barnes. This has been so incredible, living inside of what's inside of you. And
Mm-hmm.
this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many other things I'm believing for us to have an opportunity to do, Destiny. I think you are an incredible young lady, doing some incredible things, and I truly believe the best is yet to come for you. So thank you for jumping on, and I know so many people are going to be blessed. Like I said, if you have daughters, young daughters, older daughters, um, I want you to get on with them and sit down and watch this. I think it'll be a great place for you guys to have a dialogue. One of the things as a parent, I had to learn, and I'm continuing to learn, is you have to learn how to become a listener. And I think
Mm.
that's one of the things with my generation, the generation before me, when it comes to your generation, Destiny, we don't want to listen sometimes.
Yes.
And listening doesn't require a right and a wrong answer. Listening says, man, I feel you, I hear you, and I'm willing to walk with you through whatever it is you're going through. We'll deal with the dynamics of what's right, what's wrong, but sometimes we just need to listen. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you're my generation or if you're older, um, chill out. Just chill out. Sometimes we have to listen. Listening is such a key and a critical component in relationships. If you're trying to govern relationships with young adults, millennials, teenagers, and you're always pointing down on them and telling them what's wrong, I promise you, the relationship is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
If they never have an outlet to talk, how can we realistically expect them to learn? We have to give them an opportunity to talk. Now you need to set parameters for the talk. It doesn't just need to be any kind, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't dare have a conversation with my mom like I'm talking to my boy in the barbershop, right? Because it's a respect thing. But we have to get to a point where we can become better listeners. And so I'll drop this nugget on you. They say, well, I try to talk, but they don't talk back to me. They don't talk. They speak in a language which I don't understand. Well, I beg to differ. They do speak. They just speak differently. How do they speak? I say they speak to their social media. They may not talk to
Mm-hmm.
you, but they talk on social media. I tell you another way a generation speaks. They speak through their tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with some guys. These are things I didn't know. Like you're constantly learning. And I remember one day, this has probably been 3 years ago, I was talking to a young man and he had gotten into some trouble. And I just asked him, he had a tattoo on his neck it was very intriguing. And I began to
Mm-hmm.
ask him about the tattoo. And man, he began to tell me the reason why he got the tattoo. It told me everything I needed to know about the young man. And I'm like, this
Mm-hmm.
guy, he just needs somebody to talk to. He needs some guidance. And the tattoo, it wasn't a bad tattoo. It's just the fact that it was on his neck. And
Mm-hmm.
when we found out the story behind it, I don't necessarily understand it. I don't do it, but that doesn't mean I can't connect with them to understand why. It's about the why. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're living in a time now where things that may have been at one point, they may not be that way now. You have a generation they're moving through life how they move through life. It's not how you move through life. So stop passing out, stop fading. The generation they need us. And then on the flip side of that, we need this generation. So the two, we have to have each other to work together. Um, these conversations, Destiny, we have to have more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Just from this conversation today, I learned something, right? If I'm on the podcast and I'm just giving information all the time and I never learn anything, just to me, that's not a podcast I want to follow or watch. We can
Mm-hmm.
all grow together. So let's build some communities. Let's build some relationships where we can truly both be benefit benefit from it. Because at the end of the day, if Destiny has her stance and I have my stance, but we say we're about our families and we're about our communities, nothing's gonna ever move. Nothing's gonna ever move. And on this podcast, I really want to demonstrate unity. I want to demonstrate what a team looks like, right? I know we got the
Mm-hmm.
traditional team, but these days, man, you have teams that they are hybrids, right? Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
have never thought to come up with gangster. And I'm big. I'm big on using acronyms. I have so many. So look, you see it in the background. People always asking me about, what is UCST Blaze, right? What is this?
Mhm.
What is that? It all it has a meaning. Like God just he it's like something he writ on the tables of my heart. And so I've been running with it ever since. So, but you don't know unless you come into covenant or connection with people. And so now I already had a one respect for Destiny, but now when she explains what gangster means, I'm like, I'm gonna be using it. I'm gonna be stealing your stuff, Destiny. I'm like, man, girl, you need to get gangster with it. Like, what? Gangster?
Go ahead.
What? Gangster? But when I break it down, I'm like, hey, I want you to go. I need you to go get this book. Go get this book, and then I want you to
Mhm,
read it, right? So it's about having resources, that's going to help all of us. So this has been
mhm.
fun, Destiny. This is fun. And like I said,
Definitely.
yeah, we're looking to do some other things. Obviously, in like a hour, a little over an hour. There's so many other things I wanted to ask Destiny, but I think we touched on some key things that you can walk away with and start some conversations. Remember, there's a treasure in this earthen vessel, man. Find out what your treasure is.
Mhm.
Well, listen, as we get ready to get up. Well, no, 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 no. Before we go, pump the brakes. Destiny, I want you to have some closing words. I
Mhm.
also want you to tell people where they can go and get your books. Share with them your IG. I'm hoping people are going to reach out, connect with you, and maybe ask you some questions. I didn't realize, and maybe it's just me because my daughter, she's the last one graduating, but I've been to all these graduations, and man, the ratio of ladies compared to men, it seemed like it was 9 women to just one guy at all
Mhm.
these different graduations. So what that tells me, like dads, moms, like you have it, these girls are in our homes, and it's like, man, you got to do some new math with a new math mind.
Mhm.
That's a shameless plug from that's one of the titles in my book. God has an app for that. But anyway, Desi, give us some closing words and let everybody know where we can get these writings and how we can connect with you on IG or wherever your social is.
Yeah, so I definitely want to thank you for your time today. I definitely have enjoyed myself and definitely was able to pull a couple of nuggets from you as well that I can use for myself. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you know yet, but my the quote that I have for my publishing company, it's called "No Vision, No Life." And
Wait,
feel
wait,
like
wait, 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 wait. Okay, are y'all listening? No vision, no life. That's fire. That's fire. Go ahead, Destiny. Go ahead. That's
which
fire.
basically means, in life, as long as you have a vision, you'll always be able to live life to the fullest. And without that vision, you're kind of moving through life blindly. But if you
Mm,
have that vision, you'll know where you're going.
mm. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna touch it. I just look, Destiny. I'm expecting. Please trademark that, copyright it, Destiny.
Mhm.
I'm looking for the t-shirts, the paraphernalia, everything. Destiny, come on with it.
Definitely coming
Don't
soon, for
hold.
sure.
That's right. Don't hold back on us. Let me know as soon as this up. We're gonna go out there and get the hoodies, everything. That's fire. I love it. I
Mhm.
love it. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I
Thank
love
you.
that. Yeah, that's moving right there. That's you just.
Thank
That's what they say in the rap game. Bars.
you. Bar.
Bars. Those are some bars right there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
So
Thank you.
how can we get these products, Destiny? Where can we go to get them?
Oh yes, so you can actually go to my website. It's called Club VEP, CLUB VEP. That's the name of my production company. Clubvep.com. And
Okay.
you can also find it on my Instagram, which is at Gangster Barnes, Instagram and Facebook. You can find me on there.
Okay.
And yeah, that's where all of my contact information is, books. I have some apparel and different things coming out this year.
Mhm.
I'm working on a journal now, a personal journal, which I hope to release this summer.
Yes. Incredible, man. I'm trying to tell y'all better get to it. Y'all better if y'all don't, Destiny definitely get into it, right? Ah, Oh man, no vision, no
No,
life. Oh man,
yes, sir.
we're walking around just bodies, no mind. Man, get your
Mm-hmm.
vision, get your vision, get your vision. Anyway, okay, all right. I'm gonna behave. I'm gonna behave. Once again, Destiny, thank you so much. This has been great for
Thank
me.
you.
And I promise you, you'll see this young lady again back on the New Balance podcast. And as we always say, it's strength for today, sustenance for tomorrow. It's your boy, your potential conditioner, H2O. Thank you. And we'll see you when we see you. Peace.